Good evening, everyone, and how are you? I am Angela the Oliphant, and this is Whole and Beautiful. And I am so glad that you all have joined me tonight for a night of information, revelation, and change. And I am so glad tonight. As you can see, I have Sierra Oliphant on here with me tonight. Y'all know me. If you know my last name is Oliphant too. That means that she is related to me. Yes, she is. She is my daughter-in-law. And I invited her to be on tonight's show because I wanted to end this year with just motivation, because I know as going into the new year, we plan to do these different things. Some of us have resolutions, some of us promise ourselves we're going to do stuff, some of us say, you know what, well, I'm just going to make a change. And what time is better than making that change today? And Sierra, I'm going to read you a little bit of her bio so you will know where she's coming from. You'll know what she's going to be talking about tonight. But make sure that you like, that you comment, that you share this broadcast with someone else. Let them know that Whole and Beautiful is on, and that we have Sierra on here, and she's going to share some things with you tonight that will help you, that will enhance your growth as you're going into 2022. And I saw Trey Lynn come in. Thank you for joining us tonight, Trey Lynn. I am going to read to you some of her bio, and then we're going to go on from there. Sierra Oliphant has been active since she was a child when she moved from Delaware to Columbia, South Carolina upon entering her ninth grade year. She began her journey as track and field and cross country athlete. Sierra ran both sports during her time at Ridgeview High School and was recruited to run at the University of South Carolina, where she ran for another 2 years. See, y'all get my shirt now? Carolina. It was at USC where Sierra expanded on her passion for health and fitness by becoming a Zumba instructor. In 2016, she began coaching track and field and cross country at her high school alma mater. Sierra now serves as the head cross country and head girls track coach at Lugoff Elgin High School and a personal trainer at Burn Boot Camp, which is in Irmo, South Carolina. With 8 years of fitness training and 5 years of coaching under her belt, she looks forward to a lifetime more of helping people build healthy habits and accomplish their personal fitness and wellness goals. Welcome to the show tonight, Sierra Oliphant. Hi, Sierra. How are you?
Hey there, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing well. As you can see, Sierra's still on the go, guys. She decided she's on here, but she's still on the go. She's still moving. And I was going to ask you that further down, but I'm going to ask you that now. Right now, I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about who Sierra is, and then tell us how you manage all what you do, because you're on the go right now and you're doing this interview. And I'm grateful, but she's busy. So give us a little bit of information just about who Sierra is, and how do you manage everything that you do?
So, yes, I am on the go. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida right now. I decided to spend the new year with my dad. He moved here because Philadelphia was too cold. And he decided Jacksonville was the place to be. So, I'm very grateful. He's now 4.5 hours away as opposed to 9 hours. So, how I manage everything I do, I am a mother of two, Ashton and Zoe, and married to your wonderful son for 11 years now. And what I mainly try to do is create as much balance as I can and give myself as much grace as I can, knowing that I can't get everything done. Sometimes the laundry won't get folded for a while. Sometimes, I'm not able to do everything that I want to do and get it accomplished in the time that I want to get accomplished. But at the end of the day, can I lay my head on the pillow and say that I've made a change in some way, shape, or form? And because the nature of my work being with athletes and training members at Burn Boot Camp and just talking to people outside of that, outside of those things, I'm lucky to know that have the fact that the very nature of it is creating a change in some
Right.
way in people's lives. So when I know that, and I know that people are texting me for advice about different things, and they've entrusted me with some of their most intimate details of their lives, and I can be that person that they come to and confide in. I know that, I've accomplished several things in that day. And, just being with my kids and watching a movie and being present with them and laughing with them and joking with them, and, being with my husband, and we share laughs and watch TikToks or whatever it is that makes us happy.
Yeah.
I know that I've accomplished something because I'm bringing joy to somebody's life. And I'm making sure that I'm laughing every day. And I can always say that no matter, even on my worst day, I'm laughing, because you better darn well believe that Steven's gonna make sure I laugh and nobody else does. So
And that's wonderful. It's good to have that type of support where sometime during the day I'm gonna laugh because he's gonna make me laugh, and then with your kids, at some point during the day they're gonna make you laugh too, and because of their ideas and what they like, little old people. It's like,
yeah, they are.
oh my goodness. Um, we talked about you being at Ridgeview when you were going to Ridgeview and you were there in high school and you began to ran track. What was your motivation there? Were you headed for track when you went there? Was that something that was in your mind, or was that something that you just kind of ended up in? Or was that your
It's so funny
focus
that you
when you were
asked
there?
that. It's so funny you asked that, because literally yesterday, Steven was like, when you were running, we were just driving somewhere to get something to eat, I think it was. And he was like, when you were running, what was your motivation? Because he knows that um, track was not on my mind. I didn't know anything about track when I moved from Delaware coming here. I didn't know anything about it. What I did know was that when I was in Delaware, we lived in a cul-de-sac and we had a lot of land out there. And so we would play kickball, basketball, football, anything we could put our hands on. And one of the things that I loved doing is beating the boys running down the whole street. So we ran from the top of the street all the way to the end of the cul-de-sac, and I always won. They may try to tell you differently, but don't believe them. Um, and even to this day, because we lived in townhomes in Delaware, and even to this day, the neighbors that were right next door to us, I was very close to their sons, and so those were the ones I would beat. And so I remember Mr. Chris would be like, "Yeah, I always knew you were gonna run." So when I went on and moved to a whole nother state, here in South Carolina, in Columbia, even now they're like, I always knew it. Ever since you were beating Chris and Andre down the street, I already knew you had it in you. So it was really cool to see, even though I didn't have a concept of what track was.
Yes.
When I got to Ridgeview, like I said, I moved there my ninth grade year, which is a big deal, because coming out of middle school, it's really awkward. You're going into high school and now having to have a whole group of friends that are new and trying to adjust to a whole different culture in the South. Going to Ridgeview, I was like, well, I got to find something. I know I want to be active. I got to find something to do. The first person I happened to meet when I went to register was the basketball coach. I didn't have ball handles for anything. Basketball was just not my forte. But guess what I could do? I could go up and down that court like nobody's business. I was the first one down the court. And so I had a friend that luckily, it's just always amazing that you never know time or place that you're going to be crossing paths with somebody. So that's why
Right.
I'm a firm believer of putting yourself in places where sometimes you're not comfortable, or just going out and doing something that you wouldn't normally do, because you may not like that particular activity. But if you just place yourself somewhere, you don't know who you're going to come across, and then you might end up finding your passion. I'm so grateful for all the series of events, of fortunate events that happened, to where I was placed in such a way that I was playing basketball, and I thought that's what I wanted to do, and it was the thing that my brother taught me to do, and I did it growing up in the streets of Philadelphia, and doing all those type of things, and still did it in Delaware. But boom, here we go. I just was racing a bunch of kids in my neighborhood, and now fast forward, I'm in South Carolina. I ran track, stumbled upon it from a friend, and then from there I started building motivation from the people around me, my teammates, and then figures like Allison Felix, Sonia Richards Ross. I started becoming familiar with those names and actually started watching them on TV, the Olympics and different events like that, and saw them as positive female role models. And so from there, it just kind of just kept going, and I realized I was good at it, and I wanted to continue to do it. And then college happened, and I continued to run there.
Now, when you said you just happened to be good at it, she just so happened to be so good at it that she was inducted into the Hall of Fame at her school for the first year. Inductees, can you tell us a little bit about receiving that nomination, receiving that, and being a part of those festivities, and realizing, man, I'm gonna be in the Hall of Fame of the school, their first
Uh,
one.
the feeling was amazing, as I feel like it would be with anybody. But being the first class was great. But I remember years ago, there was a young woman that I ran with in college, and I remember her years after we had graduated. She was a little bit older than me, but years after we had graduated, and she was like, "I'm just so honored to be in my high school." She was from North Carolina. "I'm so honored to be in my high school's Hall of Fame." And I remember distinctly thinking, like, I want to be in my high school's Hall of Fame. Do we have a Hall of Fame? Is that a thing? And so, fun story about that is, even years after that happened, and I saw that announcement, I talked to the athletic director at Ridgeview, and I just was like, "Have you ever thought about?" I knew him from when I ran,
Yeah,
and he was a coach back then. And he had gotten promoted to athletic director, and I was like, "Have you guys ever thought about doing the Athletic Hall of Fame?" And he was like, "This has actually been in the work for years." And I was like, "Okay, great." And we actually had talked about it and spun some ideas, and I had brought some other friends in and said we should talk about what that would look like for a Hall of Fame. And so life happened. Of course, I worked at Columbia College. It was a busy schedule. I was the director of student activities there, and so it kind of fell off from there. But I knew he had already done a lot of work on it. I just didn't know when it was going to happen, and so we hadn't really talked about it after that. Well, here it is, this year. And he was like, it's happening. And I saw things starting to happen. I was following Ridgeview, and I didn't realize how quickly it was going to happen. But he just said, "Hey, I just want to talk to you this weekend. Call me when you can." I said, "Okay." I'm thinking of something different because, with me and at Lugoff Elgin, we just have that tie anyway because he's over all the athletics, obviously. So I was like, maybe he's just talking about some upcoming meets or something like that. And lo and behold, he was like, "Yes, we're doing the first athletic Hall of Fame, and we want to induct you." Like, it was a no brainer. And I was like, "Okay, awesome." And it was just really an honor for me because track and cross country truly changed my life. I mean, inside and out. And it when I coach, it's from a place of, yes, I was an athlete and I love the sport, but it truly changed me in so many ways. It built character. And so even what I've told my athletes from when I started coaching in 2016 all the way up till, today, when I'm talking to them about what their workout is for the next week, the underlying piece of it is always character building. That is the foundation. It's building your character. You are a person to me first. You're a student to me first, and a person to me first, and then you are an athlete. And I would hope that all of my athletes from 2016 until now can say that, and I believe that they can. And I've heard them reiterate that they know Coach O is about who you are as a person first, and that they can come to me, for anything that they need before they can come for a workout. And so, but it all started, back in 2005, 2006, when I started running, and I realized this is something I love and I continue to do throughout college and then even into my adult years, running 5Ks and going on runs with people who, I got to run next to national caliber athletes and Olympic athletes. I got to run against them, and it's exciting. But the number one thing is that if it wasn't for what it did for me and my character, then there would be no me. The
yeah,
experiences are great, but there would be no me and who I am as a personal trainer, as, you know, somebody who trains on their own and does
yeah.
go to burn boot camp and trains avidly, and then who's a coach, all those things, who's a mother, all of those things encompass who I am.
That's awesome. Do you have? You were talking about coaching the your team and coaching those students. Do you have a coach that you look up to, or that has motivated you, or that you reflect a lot about what they did with you as you were growing and maturing in the in track and different
Yeah.
things that you were doing.
Yes. Coach Mel, and I still talk to her to this day. In fact, this past season, for the fall, because cross country is in the fall, that was my first season as a head cross country coach. And we were going into our region meet. It was the day of our region meet, and she was the first person I called because, as a coach, you get jitters, because you're like, okay, I did all these things. I do my workouts right? Are they prepared for today? Because that's when you want them to do the best in those
Yes.
major meets. And I called her that morning. I was like, hey, Coach Mel. I was like, I have the jitters. I can't remember everything I said. I was like, I'm nervous. And I was like, what are the things that you said to your athletes when it was these major meet days? And she just gave me obviously amazing feedback because she's an amazing person. And if I didn't believe in her feedback or what she had to say, I wouldn't call her.
Right.
And she inspired me because she was so firm, yet she was so gentle yet firm in her coaching style, and she knew what she was talking about, and she loved us. She genuinely loved us, and she would go to bat for us. But she was professional. But if it's something that she didn't believe in, she would speak up about it. And she would make sure she stood up for us. And we made it with her under her guidance and leadership. We made it, to Nike Outdoor Nationals, and we got to see things as high school athletes that some adults might not even see in their lifetime. Like some adults
Right.
don't even go outside of their own state, and so that is a real thing that people only see what they see every day their whole lives. And she was able to give those experiences, and she was a major contributor to that character building. And she's why I take the approach that I do as a coach and as a personal trainer. um, and she's just one of the people that really stands out to me. Another coach is Coach Y. It's kind of the same thing. She was firm. She was like, no, this is what we're doing. And you're like, okay, yep. And she played no games and people listened to her. And so she had a different style. But I feel like kind of my coaching style and that firmness um, she was a major contributor to that too. She'll love you, but she'll be like, nope, you're going to get on this line and you're going to do it. And you're like, oh my gosh. All right, let's go. Let's do it. And so I feel like those moments where I'm like, you can do it. I know it's hard, but you can do it. And I'm in the face of my athletes, or I'm in the face of, those I'm training at Burn Boot Camp. I
Yes.
feel like I'm channeling that inner Coach Y as well. But then I'm also like, all right, now give me a high five. Let's do it. And it's like, that's that Coach Mel that comes in as well, that encouragement. So I'm taking in pieces of them that are vital, because there's not one way to do anything. And
Right.
so when you have those different styles that I'm grateful for those different styles that I was exposed to. So I have those moments where I'm firm, but I also know when to ease up, or when I'm firm and I know, no, they need this firmness right now. This is exactly what they need. And having
Right.
that discernment to know what somebody needs in that moment. Sometimes they do need to breathe and they don't need to be in their face. But then I'm going to come back around and be like, okay, you got your breather. Let's do this thing, because they got goals to meet. And then at the
Yes.
end of the day, they're like, oh my gosh, and rolling their eyes, but they're so happy that I was there to push them and also be that helping hand to guide them and give them modifications. If, okay, I can't necessarily do this, but what can I do instead and still accomplish where I'm at? You know what I mean?
Yes. And what about with you been talking a little bit about Burn Boot Camp and how you're a personal trainer there and
Mm-hmm.
you're working with different people to help them reach their goals. Um what is that like as you being a personal trainer for, because I've seen how Burn Boot Camp works, and I see that you have a whole lot of different people that are
And you
in
have
there.
attended. You gotta give yourself credit. You have attended
Yes,
and
I
you've
have
done it. And
attended.
she
and
has.
and
She's
I,
done
it's
it.
been like in my mind ever since, and I was thinking about taking that offer that they're offering here at
Yes,
the end
four
of the
weeks for
year.
$69. Shameless plug. Yes, 4 weeks
Yes.
for $69.
And I was thinking about taking that offer to just kind of do like a jump start, like we talked about
Mm-hmm.
before, because I do consult her. You all, I do. I consult her sometimes when I'm like, do I need to do this? And she was like, just go for it, just go for it, just do it. And it's me. I have to go do it. But I do some of the things that she has told me to do. She said, do this or do that. And I'll ask her a question and she'll give me the answer and she'll tell me this is what you need to do. And I'll go and I'll start doing it. My life, like within the past few months, has been so like hectic. And I was like, how can I work this out? And it was like, you're going to have to get up earlier. You're going to have to get up and do the things you need to do. But with the burn boot camp, how with you being a personal trainer, are you working with different individuals like one-on-one, or are you just working with them as a group, and then like taking them off one by one to find out what their personal goals are? How does that work with you with being a personal trainer there?
Yeah, so I love the uniqueness of Burn Boot Camp in that, yes, it is what a mantra that we use of the many that we use is personal training in a group setting. So I consider myself a group trainer, but very much so a personal trainer, one on one.
Mm-hmm.
So what we teach is kind of like an outside in approach, I guess you can say. So you start off like the setup is, you have your warm up. Okay, you got your dynamic warm up. You're moving. You're getting your body ready for what's to come. So you're training the group in that you're making sure everybody's, you're giving form cues, make sure everybody's doing what you're saying is right. For that warm up, then that continues on into the workout portion itself after you explain everything that they're doing for the workout. So then you're doing your rounds, you're making sure everybody's doing, the group as a whole is doing, nobody's lost essentially, and everybody has
Right.
their form correct, things like that. People are pushing themselves and they're working hard. So then once you're like, okay, everybody seems to be settled, everybody seems to know what's going on, there's order, it's not chaos, we're good. Boom, now I'm starting to get into people's faces. I'm like, okay, Janet, let's push a little bit harder. Come on, you got 5 more reps in you. I see you over there, Patricia. Come on, I need 5 more reps from you too. All right, don't give in. I know you want to give in. I see it in your face, but and so that's literally what a class is looking, what a camp is looking like. So people know, that okay, she's all the way up. And sometimes they're like, where is she? Where? And I'm like, nope, I can see you. Yep, I'm right here. I need you to keep going. They're like, okay, and so that's what it looks like. Because guess what? We're looking at being omnipresent as trainers. I might have a group. My camp might be 15 people. I can have as many as 20 people sometimes. The past week I did because people are off. And
Mm-hmm.
so I might have 20 people in a camp, and I have to make sure I make myself as present as possible so people don't feel left out. You know,
Right.
there's very much so a you versus you approach, absolutely. And I tell them that it's you versus you because I can push you as far as I can push you, but if I'm not there, how are you pushing yourself? Or how is somebody next to you helping you push yourself? The reason people come to Burn Boot Camp or any type of group fitness camp or class like that is because there's something in them where they know that I don't have enough motivation to push myself as hard as I need to be pushed. I need somebody there telling me, first of all, I need to walk in and I don't need to think about what work I got to do. They want to walk
Right.
in and they want to you're paying for the convenience. Let's be real. You're paying for the convenience of my workout is already laid out for me. I know these people know what they're talking about because they're personal trainers, exercise scientists, or whoever who have created these workouts specifically for arm day, for leg day, working these different muscles groups, cardio days, because they know that these particular exercises can get my heart rate up, and they entrust in people to give them that workout. Boom. Then they come in and they're like, all right, somebody's going to push me. Whereas if I go to, maybe a big box gym and I pay, however much money, it's way cheaper, but I'm probably going to be on my phone half the time. I'm going to do the rep count. I'm going to kind of walk around, and I know I only have 45 minutes or an hour before or after work for this time. Well, how much time have you actually worked?
Yeah.
And during this time, are you using proper form? Because guess what can
Okay.
happen? If I'm not using proper form, I'm not using this machine right or these weights right, I can hurt myself, which means, boom, I'm out for 4 weeks because I've hurt myself. I'm in physical therapy or whatever. And now I've been knocked off on my routine. So I only have to do physical therapy for a month and I feel better. but how long is it going to take for me to get back in the routine? Do I have some existing scars from being injured and now feeling like
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to use this particular machine or do particular exercises because I don't want to hurt myself again? Whereas you come into burn boot camp, with your personal trainer, and now you've told me, okay, I had a knee injury. I hurt my knee doing this. Okay, well, let's modify. We can't do your knee here, but we can use a plyo box or some type of elevation, if you can't do particular things on your knees. Oh, does that hurt? Okay, here's the modification for you. Whereas you wouldn't have the, what we call is the, what is it? The exercise IQ or the fitness
Yes.
IQ to be able to know how to modify. So now you're not getting the most out of your workout because you're essentially working out scared.
Okay.
Um, but there's so much benefit that you can get from still getting your heart rate up on a cardio day, even though your knee is not at 100%, or being able to do leg day, or lower body day, and still be able to modify a squat or a lunge to still benefit and work particular muscle groups. You still can work your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, and those different muscle groups, and still be like, oh, my knee is fine. Because I'm honestly, you need to work those muscles around that knee to strengthen it
Right.
instead of being like, well, I just, we have, and I use the knee as an example because it's such a common ailment. As opposed to like, oh man, I just got that bad knee. Some people just accept that. Oh, it's just this
Yes.
one knee. It just hurts. It's my bad knee. Well, don't accept that. Work those muscle groups around it and let us as trainers help you modify so you can be able to still gain the benefit for where you're at. And that's the benefit of Burn Boot Camp. You have that trainer that's omnipresent. You have that trainer that's going to push you past what you think you can accomplish, or that
Right.
person next to you, because it's very much so a community. You not only get the physical push, but the things that people do outside. They go out, on mountain trips, at my location. They go out on mountain trips. They do, you know, 5Ks together, or
Hmm.
they just go out and eat together and they hold each other accountable. I have friends and stuff and members who, oh my gosh, I'm in a pinch. I need somebody to watch my child. And they have somebody at Burn Boot Camp like, hey, we're going to switch off. Such and such needs their kid watched. And we're going to rotate and make sure that they can go to work. And it's things like that that you
Yes.
gain so much out of it, as opposed to like thinking you're just going to show up to the gym that you just can't gain from other places.
Yeah. And with doing the workout and everything, do you all work with individuals on their nutrition also?
We do. So we have what are called focus meetings. So we have 15 minutes carved out in between every camp. So you might have a 5:30 a.m. to 6:15. At 6:15 a.m. camp. Excuse me. So all of our camps are 45 minutes, and you have 15 minutes after that is designated for time that you can book a focus meeting, and that's one-on-one. That's in a back area in an office space where we're talking about what you need. Okay. We
Okay.
have nutritional guidance. We do not proclaim ourselves to be nutritionists because we're not. Some personal trainers do get a nutrition certification so they can
Hmm.
be more educated. Some get pregnancy certification so they can talk to women about how they can safely. Now, Burn Boot Camp does have a standard, but if you want to get a pregnancy certification where you talk about things that you can do to still be able to safely work out while you're pregnant and
Yes.
even postpartum. So we have those. But yes, you get those extra certifications and that knowledge, fine. But if not, Burn Boot Camp does have a standard, and we go off of nutritional manuals and packets, and we show people things that they can do. One thing that I've been doing lately, and by lately I mean the past 2 weeks, when I talk to people, I show them on our Burn Boot Camp app a 10-minute meal plan. You know, 10-minute meals that you can prep and that can be easy, and you can still get in your protein, your carbs, and your fats, because we
Yes.
need all three. We need all three. That is, that's all the calories that you need to intake. It's going to look different from me to you, from me to my husband, from me to the person next to me. It's always going to be
Right.
different. And um, what we do is we help people. I have people start there, and then from there we start booking more focus meetings. We encourage people to do every 3 to 4 weeks, because that's
Hmm.
times that you can see change and see if something works for you. You might be like, okay, this amount of protein, taking this in every day is not working for me. I feel bloated, or I feel like it's not enough. I feel tired. That gives you time to adjust to a nutritional plan as long as you're consistent with it. Not being extreme. It's not
Right.
about being extreme for a short period of time, but about being consistent to see if it truly works. And so we give them nutritional guidance that's within our scope of practice. And I start them off with that 10-minute plan. And then once we start meeting more and more, we can say, okay, what is the total daily caloric intake that you should have for your
Right.
weight, your height, your age, even down to how often you're working out. Are you working out 3 to 5 times a week? Are you working out, 1 to 2? Are you working out 6 to 7 times a week? And
Mm-hmm.
based off of that, then we start breaking down what your daily intake should be. But that daily intake is based off of what your goals are. So if your
Right.
goal is to lose fat, okay, this is what it should be. If your goal is to build lean muscle, so that's where you see cuts in muscles and all that other stuff, that
Yes.
beautiful thing that you see, not what you see on Instagram, because we know Instagram and Facebook, you can angle yourself a certain way and just look cute, like, oh, she got a cut. I'm talking about when you want true results and you don't have to
Yes.
turn a certain way to look. That's what that lean muscle looks like, those cuts in your muscles. And so there's going to be a different prescription, so to speak, that I give you if you want to work on losing fat as opposed to building lean muscle. And so that's
Okay.
where we start getting into the nitty gritty of that one-on-one. What does Angela need? What does I care about Angela right now? And so we do nutritional guidance, but if you want to work on, I want to do a push up on my toes without having to modify and come down on my knees, we'll do that. I want to do one pull up, get my chin over the bar. We do that. I want to be able to jump rope, 50 consecutive jump ropes without stopping, or
Mm-hmm.
double unders, meaning bringing the jump rope under my feet twice. Or I want to, honestly, some people, they come to us and they're not able to get up off the floor without assistance. And that's a real thing. And if
Right.
that's their goal, you know what, Diane, let's do it. Diane, let's do it. Let's work towards you getting up off the floor without having to use one of our boxes to assist you.
Right.
And that means a lot to some people, that they're like, remember Sierra when I couldn't get up off the floor? And I'm like, yes,
Yes.
I remember. And that's amazing to me and amazing for them, and that we shared that moment together and we're able to see that in real time. That's what we call non-scale victories. Everything's not about the scale, because the scale, I tell my members that the scale does not tell the full story.
Right.
And what are your non-scale victories without having to look at that scale? Some people are like, this is my ideal weight. And I'm like, why is this your ideal weight? Well, that's the weight I was when I felt my best. And I say, I was 160 when I felt my best. And I'm like, well, we want to get you to a point, or could you be happy if you were 167, but you feel energetic, you have muscle, and you feel good? And they're like, yeah, I can. I'm like, well, good. That means we're in a good mental space. You
Right.
don't have to reach that ideal weight, because the key is when they were, 160, maybe they weren't doing the intense workouts that they
Right.
are at Burn Boot Camp. But you're 167, but you've had the most muscle you ever had, because again, with the scale not telling the full story, it's not telling you you know, how much of that how much of that weight is fat and how much of it is muscle. It's not
Right.
telling you all of that unless you have some sophisticated system that tells you that. Okay, great. But most of us just have a scale that we step on, we zero it out, and we step on it. And so you need to be graceful to yourself, gracious to yourself, and you need to know that scale does not tell the whole story. And that, let's look at how you feel.
Right.
And you walk up the steps without being out of breath. Those type of things for those non-scale victories. And honestly, I care about the non-scale victories more than anything,
More than the
because
scale. Yeah.
it's more than the scale, because you see it more often, and you're like, you have that aha moment, like, oh my gosh, wait. And you're like, yep, high five, girl. That's one thing we do at Burn Boot Camp, and you saw it too when you were there. We give high five vibes like they're going out of style. Just high fiving everybody. Give a high five to somebody on the way. And it's something about that dopamine that builds up, those endorphins that build up from just giving a high five, when you're like, man, I almost didn't make that rep count. And somebody locks eyes with you, like, you got it, come on. You did good. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, yeah.
It just sounds like an amazing support system. And even when I went there for the workouts that I did go to, it was amazing to see how much support was there. And I think that's what people really love, is to have that support, to have that motivation, to have that thing that keeps them going. And listening to you talk about everything that happens that maybe people don't see from the outside, they only see if they're there. It's amazing that people are there, and they're breaking things down, because a lot of times we do step on that scale. And when you step on that scale, it's like, oh no, this cannot be. And you're working to get to
There's
that
a
number.
lot of people say, "How did I get here?"
Yes. And
I've
then
had
you
people
work.
cry. They're like, "I
Yes.
was, I did sports in school. I did this in college, or I used to be very active." And they're like, "It's been 15 years. I've had 2 or 3 kids, and we as women, if you don't know about Burn Boot Camp, it was made for women. It's very much so solely based on female fitness. We do have co-ed camps. We welcome in. We're not like, "Shun, get out of here,"
Right.
but it still is very much so based on the female. And it's a space for women to feel empowered. And so what happens is we still have a majority of women, and you have a lot of women that'll just be like, "I had kids, and I don't know what happened." And we do tend to, as women, no matter what, most of the time, 99% of the time, a child will go to the mother before they will the father. If the father's in the home, and it's just a thing. It's
Yeah.
something about that connection you have with your children. And I see it with you too, with all 3 of the kids. It's like mom, 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 everything. you know. And so no matter what, we try to get that break, or we try, and the kids come to us. And I think that's where women who are in, who come to me for these focus meetings, and they're like, "What happened?" And they're like, "I need this. I need something like this," is because we've lost ourselves, and we're like, "Where do I fit in? How do I still be an individual
Right.
and still be everything that my kids need them to be?" Because you made the conscious decision to have those and whether you did or not, here they are. That's the one thing that can't change. And you decided that I'm going to take on this responsibility, and I'm going to raise these babies, and it is an ultimate responsibility. um and so that's what happens, and you start feeling lost, and you have these kids, and it gets hard to lose that fat, because some of that fat is stubborn and it stays, and your body's never the same.
Right.
I
It
don't care
changes.
about the, yeah, people are like, "Oh yeah, you had the snap back," and it's like, yeah, but it didn't snap back the same way. Y'all know people like, it's not the
it just
same.
it just snapped back a little bit different. That's all.
It just look a little different. It look a little form is different, and it's okay.
What, as we are, because we're getting close to the end of the show, I wanted to ask you, what would be maybe like the top three things that you would recommend to someone if they are saying, okay, fitness is going to be my goal this upcoming year. I'm going to exercise, or I'm going to just get myself fit and get myself where I need to be. What would be the top three things that you would say that they would need to do to start out?
So, um, of course, I taught, all this, and big up Burn Boot Camp, but I'm not getting paid any type of commission or anything
Right.
to promote Burn Boot Camp. I promote things that I know work. I'm not gonna promote something that I haven't tried, and I'm not going to shun something I haven't tried. So, what I tell people is to start off slow. I do firmly believe that Burn Boot Camp is a good place to start, and I don't think that it always has to be somebody's destination,
Right.
somebody's endpoint. I feel like it's a good place to start because it's a confidence builder. But there's plenty of people that have gone other places and other fitness communities that have
Okay, I'm losing you, Sierra.
helped. Oh, you lost me. Oh, here I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. If it is your goal to get into fitness, get back into fitness, whatever the case may be, I would say try to start somewhere don't set yourself up for failure. It's almost the
Right.
concept of doing your homework in the bed. I mean, or reading a book in the bed. I mean, it's almost
Yeah,
like setting
because
yourself up for failure.
right, right, right,
So realistically, be real with yourself. Are you going to go to a big box gym and really be accountable, or are you just going to pay them every month only not to go? Okay,
right,
so start off in some type of fitness community, yoga, whatever it is, cycle, burn, orange theory. I don't care where it is that you go. You know, are you are do you find yourself to be happy there? A lot of
right,
these places, I know we do a 7-day free trial. You get that test run, and it gives you that time to be like, go every day, go as many days as possible. If you can do every day, fine. But set yourself up in a way where whatever trial they have, you can go, if not every day, almost every day. So you
right.
can get a full scale, a scope of what it's going to look like. You know,
Okay.
if it's somewhere you feel like you fit in. And if you got to go to 4 different places to do it, do that. But be
Then just do that.
self-reflective. Yeah, be self-reflective and be like, okay, am I not going here or not joining because of myself or because of the particular gym? Like, what is it? Be self-reflective when you're there. You find somewhere, you do it, all right, and you join for however long. If they have our 4 weeks or whatever, or if they have a shorter term where you're like, hey, can I afford to pay a little bit more for, because typically if it's 6 months as opposed to 12 months, the 6 months is going to be a little bit more costly.
Right.
Can I afford to do this? And be real. Don't be like, no, I can't afford. What are you going to have to sacrifice
Yes. Because you're gonna have to
in order?
sacrifice something. Okay. Because that was like you.
Yep, you're going to have to sacrifice. Oh, you
Yeah.
got me back. Yes, because you're going to have
I,
to sacrifice. That brings me to number two, because you said three things. That brings me to number two. What are you going to sacrifice? It's no way that you're going to be able to take on something new and so difficult, like a fitness journey, and not sacrifice something. It's just not going to happen. It's not.
yeah.
And
So
do
you
not
have
fool
to
yourself.
decide what you're gonna let go.
What are you going to let go? And it can't be your kids.
Right. We're not talking about letting go kids and let go spouses.
Right. We can't let go of
And
kids,
what will
let
be
go of
your number
spouses.
three? Because we got a few seconds left.
So my number three um, is be consistent. Do not be extreme, but be consistent. That's it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sierra. I so appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing this information with me. I hope that everyone that is listening in that you have received something that is information, is revelation, and is going to create a change in your life. And I want you all to let us know if you decided to go out and do that exercise, was that something else that you decided to do all because of this show and you heard what Sierra was talking about. Send me an email at wholebeautiful@gmail.com and I will forward those comments to her. I will give the information to her um, to let her know how you were inspired by something that she said on tonight. And again, Sierra, thank you so much for being here tonight with me. I appreciate you even on your vacation time.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. And I just wanted to say my last thing is, um, I was glad, we weren't able to do the show before, but I am glad that it so happened that we were able to ring in the new year together. I can't be with
Yes,
you, but we're together here. And that I do think this is a great start coming into the new year. And I hope this can marinate with some people, even if it's just one person, it can marinate with
yes.
you. Everything that we talked about today to bring you into the new year and reset your goals. And again, just be gracious with yourself. And I really hope that you're successful in everything you do in 2022.
Thank you so much, guys. I thank you all for joining me tonight. I Want you to go back and listen tomorrow at 4 p.m. It will do a replay on tomorrow at 4 p.m. So if someone missed it and you said, man, this is a person that needs that, make sure that you share that with them. Make sure that they tune in tomorrow at 4 p.m. and they can rehear everything that was said on tonight, because I want you all to know that whole and beautiful is just not your destination. It is most definitely your journey. So we're going to be whole and we're going to be beautiful as we travel. And thank you guys so much for being with me in 20 and 21. I am so appreciative of you being there and supporting me. And I'm looking forward to the support in 2022. And you're going to see some changes. You're going to see some different things that are going on. And I look forward to embracing you guys in the new year. Have a safe New Year's Eve and be safe. Love on each other. Make sure you stay safe. Make sure that you are doing what you need to do for you, and continue to move forward and go forward and be the best you that you can be. Until we meet again, guys, next Friday at 7 p.m., I am Angela D. Oliphant, and I want you to have a wonderful and prosperous new year. I'll see you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.